Hello again. I mentioned last year that Nigeria had passed a law which banned the use of white models in advertisements in that country, along with the use of voiceovers in advertisements which feature somebody with a British accent. I said at the time that I found this perfectly easy to understand, and I could quite see why an African country wouldn't wish to be exposed to the subliminal effect of creeping colonialism by the use of white images in advertisements. I give a link in the description to this video to a piece on this subject. Of course, things in this country are moving in quite another direction. The thumbnail to this video shows a photograph heading an article in this morning's Sunday Telegraph about Father's Day, and it comes hot on the heels of this advertisement from yesterday's Telegraph, also on the theme of Father's Day. I wonder if we can all see this clearly. It's an advertisement by Marks and Spencer's. Even to those of us who are used to this trend, this advertisement by Marks and Spencer's is something quite special. 13 people are shown in the advertisement, of whom no fewer than 8 are black. That's 60%. Since there are at most 5% of the people in Britain of black heritage, this means that black people are 12 times as prominent in this advertisement as they are in real life in this country. That is such a great overrepresentation that I cannot persuade myself that it is coincidental. There must be another explanation. Around 15% of the British population is now either black or of South Asian ancestry, perhaps 1 in 6. That being so, I cannot have the least objection to advertisements showing 1 person in 6 being either Indian or of African heritage. Why would I? It would reflect the nation's ethnicity. But of course, as we all know, it's far more than 1/6 when we are watching such things on television or coming across them in newspapers or magazines. In fact, white people are often, just as in the advertisement which I've shown you, a minority. There are, it seems to me, 2 questions to ask, and they are probably linked. The first is why the ethnic minorities shown in these advertisements are almost invariably black people, rather than those of Asian origin. How many Sikhs do you see in advertisements? Chinese people? Pakistani Muslims? Hindu women wearing saris? Such people are, of course, more numerous in Britain than Africans and Caribbeans, but they don't find their way into advertisements. Why? The second question is, of course, why is this happening at all? It does seem to me that the 2 things are linked. Black music, black style, black patterns of speech and black culture in general, especially that associated with black people in the United States, has for over a century been seen as cool in this country. One thinks of the jazz age in the 1920s and 30s, in which that style of music and dancing, which had its roots in African American culture, swept the world. It was immensely popular with white people, and to be fashionable, everybody had at least to pretend to like jazz. The same thing has been noted with language as well, that black styles of speech, black vocabulary and grammar, or the lack of it, are somehow contagious and demonstrate when used by white people that they are up to date and modern. So it is that one will hear in this country young white men in their late teens or early 20s announcing that they are going yard. They do this to indicate, by the way, that they are on their way home. Yard is, of course, a vernacular expression in the Caribbean and some parts of the United States for one's home. By leaving out linking words such as to and my, we end up with going yard. This is, of course, dialect or patois, what was once known as broken English. That white youths in Britain should adopt this way of speaking illustrates what I mean about black speech and black music being seen as cool and with it. I strongly suspect that those in the advertising industry are sensitive to this and they exploit it by the use of blackness, using black people as a visual shorthand to indicate that whatever they are selling is very modern and fashionable. It must be. Look at all those black people who are promoting the product. I'm aware that there are those who see a more sinister motive behind this phenomenon, which can be summed up, by the way, by saying that the Jews control the advertising industry and they are setting out to destroy white society and culture by this cunning means. But this sounds more than a little far-fetched to me. But then what would you expect from a gatekeeper or controlled opposition or whatever it is that such people accuse me of being? I find the constant presence of black people in advertisements as irritating as anybody else, but I don't think we need to postulate a worldwide conspiracy along the lines of the protocols of the Elders of Zion to explain what we are seeing.